Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 120, and today we're going to be doing battle with Taliyah Xerath, making copies. But before we dive into that, the spoiler season has begun. I got a little bit behind in terms of spoilers, given that I was getting a little bit prepared for seasonals, but I think we have enough time to kind of cover all of the new champions before the new cards come out on July the 20th. And so the first champion we'll be covering is Kaisa. She carries the new evolve keyword to where she gets +2/+2 once you've given or summoned allies with 6 other positive keywords this game. Your other games don't count. It has to be this game. That game you played last week does not count towards leveling up your Kaisa. It is this one game in particular. And that's, a reasonable enough ability. A lot of the power in something like Evolve just depends on how easy it is to level up and how far out of your way you have to go to make usage out of it. 6 keywords doesn't sound like a whole lot, but in my opinion, you kind of look towards stats and keywords like that on units that are already pretty valuable. That's not something that we see a lot of out of Shurima. And kind of what I mean by that is if you say look over to Demacia and we see a unit like Petricite Broadwing, right? That's a very powerful unit all on its own. It's got that healthy collection of stats. It comes with Formidable and Challenger. Just a really good, meaty, ground-based unit. And that's just not something that we see a lot of out of Shurima. You see a lot of cheaper plays like Rockhopper. You see plays like Bomber Twins. They tend to be value-oriented kind of units and not so much stat-based bruisery kind of units. We actually saw tons of this in Expedition, if you remember back to those days, as to where we could design a lot of these decks around getting challenges with Rockhoppers and Exhausts and Ruthless Predators and the like, but there just wasn't a ton of units to actually take advantage of those challenges. You would have your Renekton's and some various 3/3s, but in general, your units were not very combat suited. And that tends to be what you're looking for with keywords. And so we may see the game change a little bit as time kind of moves on. If you're looking at the screen here on the bottom row, we do have units that are quite strong, like this Belvethi Elder, the 3/1 2 cost with both Spell Shield and Evolve, and then the Void Blaster as a 4/4 Overwhelm with Evolve for 4. Both of these are, kind of stat-oriented units, which do build towards this Evolve theme. And so I'm kind of curious how this plays out in terms of the Evolve keyword itself, and what kind of pairings we can look towards with Shurima to kind of make up for that lack of stat power, if you will, based on their keyworded units. But I think at least in terms of units, it is quite important to kind of wrap our heads around a lot of the themes we've seen here recently in terms of using Papercraft Dragon decks and then the historically powerfulness, if you will, of just overwhelms in general. And if we look towards Shurima already having Ruin Runner as extremely powerful, Void Blaster offering up another big, meaty overwhelm unit, that it looks like that's something that, Shurima can just kind of do as a general strategy, is looking towards these big overwhelms, and I think that will be kind of interesting. But the big thing that we're talking about today is going to be Kaisa, and I think she's kind of an interesting champion. It just kind of like the quick glance test. I'm not particularly impressed, right? It's like, okay, I'm spending 5 mana on this champion. Does she just immediately win me the game? Probably not. If I'm playing a 5 mana champion, does she immediately do something to the board? She doesn't do that either. And so if we look at the more expensiver champions like Scion or like Galio, they tend to just win you the game immediately. Or if we look towards something like Jace at a little bit cheaper, or Quinn at the same price point, they interact with the board immediately by dropping down a challenge if they want. And so Kaisa doesn't really fit any of those roles. And if we scroll over to her ability kind of card in the second skin, that requires her to be on the board to get some usage. The second skin card is the 0 cost thing here. It says grant allied Kaisas everywhere another ally's positive keyword. And so at first glance of just like dropping a Kaisa and giving her a bunch of keywords and just making a bunch of attacks, I'm not real impressed. That sounds kind of shitty, right? But that's not to lean on Kaisa as being a not powerful champion. I think there's some real interesting synergies that we can see here. And so the first thing to actually call out in the land of positives is the card Second Skin itself. having these champions that generate cards are always good. That's something, it doesn't even have to be, hey, I'm going to be using this to load up Kaisa with keywords. You can do other stuff with these generated cards, right? We've seen Riven do it forever. You can discard these things to get excited. You can use them for cards that care about you playing spells. There's lots of engine-based kind of cards that really care about you generating these things. And so I think having a champion that generates a card also gives them kind of a tick up in relevance. But in Kaisa's case, I don't feel like that's really enough to build around. You don't see enough of these kind of discard synergies or spell-based synergies in Shurima. And so the next kind of big thing I think that Kaisa has a lot of potential with is kind of circling back to that big overwhelm strategy and just kind of looking at her as being an OTK champion, kind of in the realm of a Pantheon. I don't think she plays out games like you would see with Pantheon, but those kind of same ideals, though, as to where we have this big super unit at the end of the game that can come down and close out games quickly. And so I think with Kaisa, if we say, okay, well, I've got this, assuming we just never play her in the early game, right? We're going to assume Kaisa costs 7 mana, and we're just going to play her on turn 7, right? She's going to get the old Galio treatment, if you will, to where we just play her on turn 7 and say, okay, can we win the game now? And that doesn't sound too unreasonable, right? If she comes onto board as a 6/6 because she's evolved, and then she has this attack ability to where you deal 1 for each positive keyword that the enemies have seen, whatever, and then you get to use the second skin to perhaps push over an overwhelm or a spell shield or a scout or an elusive. That's a fairly powerful ability. If we say that we're coming in for like 12 overwhelm damage towards the late game, and then if we get to pair that up with a Void Blaster or a Ruin Runner or something, we're looking at quite a bit of OTK potential. And so I think the real kind of balance with Kaisa will be is her kind of like style of ability, just better replicated by playing units, right? And so would we rather just be playing Void Blasters and playing Ruin Runners and playing some other giant overwhelm unit and then using something else for our champion slots, or does she complement this well enough to where we can get big OTK strategies, right? It's very easy to say, okay, well, let's just pair this with Demacia, right? So the first thing that we can do is look to give her scouts. That's pretty easy. We can get overwhelms off of things like Void Blasters and Ruin Runners. That's great. We can get spell shields off of things like this Elder and Ruin Runner. Again, that's great. Scout is great. Good. Like, we have this nice collection of abilities that we can pass around, and then you can just say, all right, well, let's just Golden Aegis and get OTKs, right? That seems like a pretty reasonable collection of things to be doing with minimal effort to where all of the cards are good. And so I could definitely see her having like a bunch of impact in kind of the OTK land. I think the kind of interesting thing with her will be, again, are the units just better? Are we replicating something that we could just be doing elsewhere? Can we play just this much expensive stuff to where we're playing these giant overwhelms and Kaisa in the same deck? Does she do this job better than, say, something like Jarvan or Sejuani, as to where they can come in as big kind of OTK finishers? I think time will have to come in and tell with that, but I think she has great kind of finisher potential, and I think the kind of trap that we're going to see with Kaisa as we look at her and say, okay, she costs 5 mana, let's make her operate as a 5 mana card, right? Let's try and drop her down on turn 5 and start doing shit. I think that's where kind of the trap lies. I think we just need to kind of do the initial impression of Kaisa and saying, this unit costs 7, but if the game dictates it or if things seem safe or whatever, then we can play her early. We can play her on turn 5 or turn 6 and then try to go for our OTK on turn 7 or turn 8. Maybe that's the way things kind of have to be, so that you can second skin on like a spell shield or whatever. But I think that she definitely has like the big game-ending bruiser potential that is so strong in the game right now. And so, pretty interesting champion. I'm glad to give Kaisa a try. and I hope you have a good initial impression of her as well. And so, onto the deck we'll be playing with today. As we are kind of, like wrapping up our time here with the World Walker expansion before the Kaisa expansion comes out. I don't even remember what it was called. I did want to kind of like circle back and touch on some of the cards that maybe we didn't give enough time, or we just didn't give the time at all. Not even enough time, 0 time. And one of the cards I was wanting to kind of take a peek at was Haunted Tomb. And so the kind of like idea that we have with this deck real quick, we could just kind of cycle through the combo cards real quick, is that we can use both Haunted Tomb and we can use Ancient Hourglass to put these units and or champions under lockdown, if you will, and then we can take the card and copy it with Taliyah. And so if we can say Ancient Hourglass any of our units, we can then copy that unit with Taliyah when it comes back, or as a kind of more straightforward play, we can just put the Haunted Tomb on the board, just copy the Haunted Tomb with Taliyah, and then we'll get 2 units on the next turn. And the kind of like positives that we get with both of these style of abilities is with Xerath. Xerath loves seeing the landmarks get blown up, and so if we not necessarily copy Xerath, but have our landmarks intended to be short use, gives us some bonuses with him in terms of just activating his abilities. And then we could also use cards like, say, Herald of the Magus, as to where this is a summon ability. This isn't a play ability. And so if we could resurrect the Herald of the Magus with something like Haunted Tomb, then we have access to that ability 2 times instead of just 1. It's going to be a little bit challenging to Haunted Tomb a Herald of the Magus, but it does work much more easily with the Ancient Hourglass. And so we're kind of like coming at this from 2 approaches, right? We're trying to be part A, the Xerath build around, as to where we have a lot of landmarks, a pretty easy way to level him up. We're using our Rockhoppers, our Endless Devouts, and our Unraveled Earths to just really get our Xeraths going. That's kind of plan A with the deck, is have a good base landmarks kind of sacrificial type theme, but then we also have this big value package and using our Haunted Tombs and our Ancient Hourglasses along with Taliyah. And so I think in many of our games we're going to see a lot of gameplay patterns that you would kind of see playing Taliyah Ziggs, as to where you can say drop an Endless Devout, get the Sarcophagus, you copy the Sarcophagus with Taliyah, and use that as a means to just get a big value play on the board. But we have some of these other angles that we can pursue between the Haunted Tomb and the Ancient Hourglass getting copied with Taliyah, also comboing with Xerath. And so this is the deck we're going to be doing battle with today. Let's go ahead and fire up the normals. Oh man, I forgot. I can't remember if we got any I think we're pretty premiumed out at this point. I can't believe I almost let this go past. I almost let it slide by. Haunted Tomb is an epic, so I don't feel the need to turn it premium. And I think all of our common and rares are set. And so good. We are good to go in terms of paying to win. Let's bring out the making copies. And so I'm sure at least one of you boomers out there will get the reference. It's kind of a classic SNL skit with Rob Schneider in terms of the making copies and the copy boy. He did have to go making copies. And I felt kind of bad. This was one of these like situations that I had back in West Virginia, was that we got to watch the Rob Schneider stand-up show, and I don't really remember too much of what Rob Schneider was presenting in the comedy show. I just know that he got really upstaged by the person before him, and so it was like usually when you go to a comedy show, there'll be 2 or 3 warm-up acts, and then the main person does about an hour and a half, and the guy that was doing the half-hour set before him, I don't know if he was just like a true really well done professional comedian, and he was just like, I got this tour date thing with Rob Schneider, whatever. But he was incredibly good, and he just absolutely killed with his set. And then Rob Schneider came out, and like his stand-up wasn't that great, and he didn't really like win over the crowd with his rehashing of old Saturday Night Live punchlines. And I kind of felt bad for him, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is, I guess. You're the professional, and so I felt a little bad. But nonetheless, life moves on. I'm sure he's doing just fine. Making those Saturday Night Live dollars. Make a couple Adam Sandler movies on the Netflix. Get yourself a nice paycheck. But all right, back to the action here. We're going to have to look to blow up this Aphelios. We do have the Rite of the Arcane handy, so we're going to go ahead and smash this one off. We'll destroy the landmark, get the unit, blow up the Aphelios. We'll have to come up with something for Zoe later, but she's not intimidating at the current moment. Okay, now we have a decision to make. Like, do we want to bank some mana for this Rite of the Arcane? Like, I feel like next turn we 100% have to play the Haunted Tomb just to, get this going. It's going to take 2 turns before we get the unit out of it. I want this down, and that's only going to leave us with 3 mana next turn for doing other things. I mean, I guess it's kind of fine. We can play the Preservarium, see if we draw something else, and then we do still have 6 mana next turn to Rite of the Arcane away the Preservarium if we need to. But I think it would be fairly safe to just kind of let that stuff go. Alright, he had Calibrum, that's fine. So we'll be getting... The Restored Devout is our largest unit unless we generate a Rock Bear. So this will be the unit we search up for the remainder of the game, unless we get a dead 5/4. Yeah, I think we still just have to get the Haunted Tomb on board. Although it's like if we don't play it now, we're just never going to play it. And I feel like we need to get the action out of this thing. Oh shit, we were mana short, aren't we? We're not playing Rite of the Arcanes this turn. That's okay. We can go into next turn and be ready with Zoe, but or with the Vile Feast for Zoe, but not what I intended to be doing this round. Making the big decisions. This is sad. Like running into the Aphelios deck. We were having such high hopes and seasonals in the previous day, just bringing bans onto this deck. But the kind of caveat to that was we needed there to not be a Taliyah Lissandra. I kind of felt like as long as we could dodge Taliyah Lissandra and Aphelios at the same time, we would be okay. And we were not okay. we did not have that strategy come to fruition. And so I'm curious to see what the decks were making the top cuts into the round of 32 of seasonals and how much we were seeing that exact combo, because that was just like one of the things we were not willing to deal with. And so we kind of brought that into the design of our lineup, but got pretty boomed when things didn't fall the way we wanted. All right, we can add in Rockhopper. Now we're like pretty well set to deal with this next turn. We have our 5 attack unit coming down. His attacks this turn aren't very good. We can use a Rite of the Arcane on something if we need to. Herald of the Magus is kind of interesting. We don't have any champions to take these bonuses with, but he is a pretty meaty unit. We can't play Rite of the Arcanes this turn if that's going to be the way it goes. Like I'm not really excited about the prospects of just attacking Restored Devout into the Sump Dredger. And we're also getting to this point to where he's just going to drop a Winding Light on us. And so I feel like we need to clean out as much of his board as we can. We're definitely going to take a hook into the Dustbringer. We'll kill off the Sump Dredger. I think this is the best way to clear out the board, and then he probably just has to block with Flame Chompers. Not super scared about him getting this triple Celestial thing. Doesn't directly affect the board right now. I had to double check, make sure we had the mana for this. We do. we got enough mana to cast our spells. Do we ever actually just spend the mana gem? I don't like that idea when we're looking to play 5 mana units and we still have a lot of value in our hand. But yeah, pretty powerful looking attack right now. We have the Spiderling into the Dustbringer, then his blocks across the board are pretty shitty. Not a bad pickup with the Celestial thing, but I think we're still okay. And I want to trade away the Spiderling. We're just going to overwrite it with bigger units at this point, so we'll just clear out our board. All right, we'll see if we can't draw one of those champion things everyone is talking about. it would be useful to get one of those champion things. Opponent's drawn 2 at this point. We're still at 0, but it's not too late. They'd still be quite useful to pick up at this point. And then he just discarded a Fallen Comet. So he's still got the expensive Celestial in his hand. He played the cheap one in the Comet, but... Here comes a Winding Light. We don't have any way to interact with this. I wanted to see if we couldn't pick up one of our Quicksands. We couldn't, but it's at least not a lethal attack. He's only got like 14 on board. We're at 18. So we're still safe in that sense. So how's this comeback going to go? He's realistically going to hook the Flame Chompers with the Restored Devout. Then we can't interact with the Winding Light. Let's just go ahead and blow up this Flame Chompers. Now his attacks are kinda booty. Doesn't even attack with the Winding Light. Nice. Okay. I'm going to play the Ancient Preparations just for the predict. We'll end up overriding it next turn, but if we could predict into a champion, that would be kind of nice. And I think we need Taliyah. We're not going to be copying any landmarks, but, well, I guess the downside with Taliyah is I was thinking we were going to be able to Taliyah plus Magus, but we're going to be a mana short. Alright, well, we can blow up his board a little bit with Xerath. So we'll be looking to just switch to an open attack now. Hopefully some of these units get cleared out a little bit, and then we can Unraveled Earth and Xerath to try and clean up the board. I think we could have gone for Taliyah, but I think we'd still be short of a lethal this round. Okay. Need to get that Sun Disk Xerath out here, am I right? That would be the one bringing the heat. You're only going to be dealing 3 to the units, not this big deal 5 thing. But we'll see. We'll see if opponent's going to play a dude here. We can play the Unraveled Earth and then play Xerath, so we'll be ready with 2 landmark destructions. Hopefully that's enough to keep his board light and small and thin. Here's a Taliyah. Alright, so we should definitely be booming his units as soon as they come down. Now, his next 3 units will take this 3 damage hit. I assume he's immediately going to play a Daring Poro, but we should have some good options for his future units. We ever want to play the Tomb? Not really. We need to keep some amount of space if we have a landmark for Taliyah to copy. Like, all of our landmarks should just get blown up before the next turn, but this Haunted Tomb is never going to activate. It's like, if he should be needing to kill us on his next attack. It seems like, I guess he just doesn't have anything. I'm curious what his expensive... well, he's certainly got some expensive shit now. But I'm curious if he picked up, like, the Scourge or something as his expensive Celestial. cycling away these Pale Cascades. Let's go ahead and drop this Haunted Tomb. If, like, worst comes to worst, we can just overwrite something with the Herald of the Magus. But I don't think we're going to need any of that spell mana, so... Alright, here's your opportunity for something big, my dude. Got him. Took about 4 days, but old Bust pulling down the victory. GG, my dude. Alright. No goose eggs today. Victory has been achieved. Feeling good. What do we got here? Zoe and Bard. Alright. We'll hang on to the Vile Feast against the Zoe deck. Otherwise, I think we just want to get rid of all of this stuff. I'd like to find a Xerath, or I'd like to find something like Rockhopper, and not so much these just kind of utility cards. Much better. There's Daddy Xerath. All the big combos coming through. Here's what we'll do with Kaisa. We'll play Kaisa Bard along with Esmuth, and then we're just going to generate the giant OTKs with elusive Kaisas, right? That's all it's going to take. You heard it here first. You get the double... Oh, it's only a single keyword on Esmuth, isn't it? Does support count as a positive keyword? It should, right? What the fuck is that? That's new, right? I haven't seen that shit before. You see that the little hand thing? When'd you drop that shit on us, Riot? Huh. What about Chime? That's not good enough. Interesting. Huh. Well, maybe the intern got a raise or something. He's got a little bit more influence. I'm surprised Riot hasn't not Riot. I'm surprised Reddit hasn't latched onto that and made a bunch of dumb shit comments about how it's useless and unnecessary. Like, I really love over here on the left when you attack and it shows how much damage you're going to do and how much health is going to be gained. Just one of the great all-time features of any card game, just sitting around doing a bunch of finger math trying to figure out how much damage you're going to do. Always one of the real abysmal aspects of playing card games. And Riot said, I got you, fam. We aren't doing that dumb shit anymore. It's really made my day. These little swords and shields over here to the right, people like to complain about that shit as well. Oh, I gotta see a little indicator who's attacking or who's blocking. Why don't you go watch Seasonals? I hope you're watching Seasonals right now. It's really hard to figure out what's going on at a glance in these games. I think Riot's done a fantastic job getting that stuff going. Alright, we're popping off now. I'm gonna start shooting stuff. I'm gonna hook in this Bard as quickly as we can. We can try an Ancient Hourglass our Xerath if we ever need to. Things are looking pretty strong here. Is a little unfortunate that Bard is bigger than anything we can put in front of him, but we can just like hook him out of combat with our smallest unit and then just blast for an actual million this turn. What you got? Cosmic Binding? Well, I guess we're going to be short of an actual million, but it's still a pretty decent attack coming in. This will take him down to 4. right? So we're going to have Bard at 4 health. Next turn he attacks with Bard again, and the boost from Esmuth takes him up to 5. We can block him with a 5 attack unit at that point. Okay. I'm in. I'm on board. Do we want to, like, preemptively Vile Feast this Esmuth? Doesn't seem that bad. Like, what else are we going to get out of a Vile Feast? Also gives us a unit that we can use to hook Bard out of combat. You can, of course, hook Bard out with any unit when he's vulnerable, but a tiny unit that we don't intend to be blocking with or anything. We'll see what he does, how much stats he looks to add to the board this turn.
If it's made of sand, I can write it.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
Okay, looks like it's going to be a good quicksand turn. I think we're in tip-top shape. Looking good. Let's hydrate while opponent ponders how bad it's going to be. Alright, well, I guess the new question is, do we even care about losing our Restored Devout? We probably do. I like being able to go into next turn and then have the Ancient Hourglass kill off the Bellringer. Like, I don't care about Zoe at this stage. We won't be able to take down Bard this turn, but taking an 8 hit of the damage isn't that bad this round. Alright, let's bring the fun squad. Right, so even a block on a 5, he's looking at taking 14 damage. Pretty good, right? Should be enough for a lethal. Uh-oh, he's blocking Xerath. He's already played 2 chime stuns. Is he really going to have a third? Guess so. Okay. I think we're still in pretty good shape. I was just expecting to win the game that turn. But we can just start blowing stuff up. If you're gonna be like that, let's just start blowing stuff up. You just wanted to see that Xerath animation. I feel you. I see what you're about. He said, I haven't played against the Sundusk in like 3 weeks, man. I gotta get my Xerath animation fix. All right, looking good. You gonna do play a unit and just have it die? Go blow your shit up, bro. We're not playing Taliyahs today. We're just blowing shit up. I guess we could play Taliyah. That's a way just to get in more damage. But well, if we're gonna get to just kill off a unit, I guess that's a way to do it.
Out of my way.
You get like style points for the Taliyah kill, right? That's very important. Give me the style points, please. Oh, Bard flip. Alright, more animations. Enjoy it. Soak it in.
Let's put these rocks into motion.
Alright, dude, you're done. It's over with. Game complete.
Relax your knees.
Alright, this doesn't really matter because we have the quicksand, but typically we recommend you attack left or right with your smallest units to the biggest ones. That would be because of ideas like this. He has to block our weakest unit with his Sparklefly so that the abilities... so he just doesn't get lethaled, right? So while he's at 2, if we had a 2-attack unit to the left, that would kill him, so he'd have to block the 2-attack unit with the Sparklefly. So you typically make these little attack to big attacks, just so your bigger units now get through. But with the Taliyah here, she should be able to just kill off the Sparklefly with her bonus attack ability thing, whatever these are called. And so I wanted to put her first, since it should just completely cancel out the lifesteal. Now, granted, we do have the quicksands to where we could just take the lifesteal away, but that is kind of a different situation, if you will, or one of them thinking spots you might have to do, at least in terms of not making that kind of standard basic attack. If you're not familiar with that, if you don't know, if you haven't put a lot of thought into it, or if you don't have units on the board, say like Callista, that really affect how you need the combat to go, just that little to big attack is the very common and easy way to move forth with your combats. All right, so up against the old Annie Jen, I assume that this is going to be the burn deck. I held onto Xerath. That's kind of greedy, but he's so powerful if we can actually get him going, and so I felt reasonable enough in keeping that hold. These cards in here are just all too slow. We already have a bit of removal for this board. Not really planning to have the time to get the rest of that going. Drew the right of the Arcane anyways. Is playing the conservatory version, so we'll have a little bit more time. You can never tell right out the gates if they're playing the full-on burn Anti-Gen or if they're playing the more mid-rangey version with the conservatories, but it is the question has been answered with the conservatories coming down to the board. Okay, ideally we full clear the board with the Vile Feast this turn. If he has a way to take down our Endless Devout, it's not the end of the world. We can make good usage of the Sarcophagus coming to the board. We'll see. I'm not opposed to attacking with Xerath here. We'll see if they have an additional unit to add to the board. It's a little unfortunate to get like points of damage put on him, but I think it's just the best use of our mana this turn. You can play him and then just not attack. Any flip? Okay. Curious if he open attacks on us. We have a lot of interesting selections for this turn. Well, he can't play Tybulk, so I guess he's probably going to be opening. It's only got one card in hand. It has to be pretty safe to just use our Xerath now, right? Why'd you get stunned? You have Jen in hand? Oh, Annie stuns. Okay. Makes sense. Alright, but he's officially out of new cards in his hand. He does have the Tibbers and the Tybalax to get a little bit of things going. What happens if we don't open? Like, we don't get any real value out of not opening here. He's gonna hit us with his Tibbers. So let's just come in with these. What's realistically gonna happen? I'm trying to decide if I want to attack with Taliyah. We probably don't, right? He's just gonna play the Tibbers onto Taliyah, but if she has 2 damage on her, then she's gonna die at that point. There's no reason to attack with her. Unfortunate to lose our Xerath. Maybe he will just go for Tybalax. Okay. So we want to destroy the small one. I mean, the question for the next turn is we can get him out of open attacking, right? He has to play that second Tybalax to be lethal. So we can destroy our landmark. We can pop his Tybalax. And then next turn we can look to just destroy a mana gem to try and take his down. Oh shit, that's a Xerath. We did that the wrong way. We should have spent the Xerath flip card in our hand as our way to take that down. Because now if he says like opens with Tibbers, we don't have the removal spell in our hand anymore. We fucked that up a little bit. I wasn't paying any attention. Let's see what he does. This could definitely be good. And say if he gives us a chance to get some of this going. Well, we had like the burst option here where we could burst this thing on the board and then still get a spell down, but we just do right at the arcane anyways. Make up for our misgivings. Thank you, game. I appreciate that. Alright, doesn't look as horrible now. Restored Devout cannot get out there fast enough.
Everything.
If it's made of sand, I can ride it.
Alright, we got a pretty strong board.
Nothing will stand in my way.
I don't want to just be like opening with Taliyah. I don't feel like she's really gonna be surviving it. Let's get another unit down. Oof. GG, my dude. Putting in the work, Taliyah. You and your bro Xerath. I appreciate the things you do. Whew. Alright. I know the topic everyone has been curious about. Let's say, Bust, how's your hydroponic peppers doing? And they're actually starting to do quite good. It was like a little bit unfortunate with the with the hydroponic peppers. I was growing them in the kitchen, and like they all sprouted and they were starting to do good. And then one of my dumb shit cats went and ate all of the leaves, and so they didn't do good from that point forward. And so I had to restart, got to move to the basement. Once that, like, the jalapeno peppers started doing pretty good, but then my my set of just like regular peppers did not. But it's finally started to like pick up and take off, and I feel like we're gonna have something here. Some of the jalapenos have started to like flower and stuff, so I think we'll get something useful out of them in a few weeks. The other one, it's probably got another few weeks before it decides if it's gonna make it or not. But I gotta put in some work on those today. Gotta make sure that they have the proper nutrients and stuff. Yeah, everybody wondered about my hydro. Most certainly not marijuana.
We love it when they run.
All right. At any rate, I mean, I think we're good to just go ahead and blow up this action. Well, it's like, how much do we even care about the action, though? What if we, like, lead with a Vile Feast into the Inventive Chemist? I guess that's what his action's going to get, though, right? He's going to get a quick attack challenge on our Bomber Twins, and that's not that good. And so if we Rite of the Arcane as action, he's going to try and hook our Bomber Twins with the Inventive Chemist, which we can then Vile Feast. And we'll just take 4 on the turn from the Hunter. I think that's a fair sequence. And I guess the question is, do we ever just... Ah, fuck. It's like I also kind of want to save our mana for this Ancient Hourglass so we can just play Taliyah next turn and get some value out of it. Is that just going to be too slow? Have the Vengeance for if he tries to make a Gnar play. I think that's fine. Like, if his idea for next turn is to play Gnar and follow it up with the Dragon, we could just block it at that point, but we do have the Vengeance. It's like I'm just kind of feeling like we need the Ancient Hourglass as a means of putting more units on the board. But if we give up our units now, okay. Just have to let it go. Not an awesome spot to be in. Still like it, though. Still want to go for this copy. You shouldn't have any way to interact with what we're doing with here. And then we can get the multiple units on the board.
If I stumble, I have the urge to catch me.
Okay, he goes for a full bank. Shouldn't be able to get an OTK this turn. You can play a Papercraft Dragon, but then he can't really protect any of these units. Doing action stuff. Okay. I mean, we got the Vengeance. I feel okay to that degree. So we shouldn't be getting OTK'd here. And then, I mean, we did just pick up Xerath. He has quite a bit of potential if we can survive through this turn. Oh, that's it? Sweet.
You're ruining everything.
That wasn't bad at all. Check this guy. Doing that scary shit. Welcome to the board, Xerath. We're gonna we're gonna load this up with some landmarks. So what we'll be looking to do, we'll see what he spends here, like what he does. I guess the thing that could go poorly is if he has another action in hand for Grappling Hook. Well, just kind of is what it is. But that was going to be like our space to turn it around. The Grappling Hook was just like, it's the only way that they have to interact, right? We've just played tons of action Gnar. And so with him having the Grappling Hook, it was fine. But if we got to Vile Feast his 1 health unit and then go to our next turn and make 2 landmarks with the Unraveled Earth, that game was about to be pretty set. He wasn't going to be able to add any more units to the board for the rest of the game. But yeah, the Grappling Hook just is what it is. Right, on to Ari Bard Zed. Oh, Kevin Costner out here, classic hero of the 90s movie scene. There's a reasonable chance you were conceived at the end of a Kevin Costner movie. Your mom went to a nice Kevin Costner film, nice dinner and a movie with the old father piece, conceiving children under the watchful guise of Kevin Costner. He said, "Oh, Field of Dreams. It's where we conceived all of our children." I think Field of Dreams was Kevin Costner. Dances with Wolves, was that him? Tons of rom-coms. I think I'm kind of familiar with him. I think he plays like Reese Witherspoon's dad in like literally every movie. Gotta find out. Hang on. Here we go. Let's get this great list up here in case you didn't know who the man was. Looks good in a cowboy hat, known for the postman. Haven't seen it. Dances with Wolves. Oh man, he was Robin Hood. Not the men in tights. Just the standard version. The Bodyguard. If you weren't familiar with The Bodyguard, that fucking Whitney Houston song was on the radio nonstop for like 4 months in a row. Jesus, that was like one of the actual. I think it's been surpassed as the. Hang on, let's see. We're actually playing a game, not just all doing Kevin Costner talk today. I think this is okay with the Rock Hopper. He's not going to add anything more to the board, and we can't quick. I don't want to get just like a single unit quicksand. I want to get a double unit quicksand. So if we're going that route, let's just play the Endless Devout here. But that Whitney Houston song, like the "I Will Always Love You" song, I think it was the biggest song in the world. Like maybe Michael Jackson had something beat, but there was it, and then it didn't get eclipsed until the Titanic song from Celine Dion. But who knows now? Like Truffle Butter probably outsold all of them. It's weird seeing what the biggest songs are on Spotify. It's just such a different world. All right, but here I'm okay to just bank up some of this mana. We're ready to try and at least interact with the quicksand. We need some of our units to die. We need this Endless Devout to die to really get things going here. Okay, I'll take a second quicksand. We're only going to play one this turn, but gives us a bit of opportunity. Holy shit, he just hit 5 chimes. Wow, wow. Not bad, my dude. So we're definitely hitting the Shadow Assassin. We want to hit the second Esmuth. Look to take 4. I think that's okay. Now we can hopefully start doing some landmark stuff. Get some big boys on board. No combat tricks, dude. People are trying to do good here. All right, recall whatever. It's like we already hyped you up, Kevin Costner. What more can you want? we single-handedly revitalized your career. All right, we're going to get to attack next turn. We haven't got to do that in a while. He's busy out here talking Dances with Wolves and stuff. Was he on Friends? God, let's just see it all. The filmography. Where do we go? Not in these 2000 stuff. That's just way too new. Way too new. Field of Dreams #2. Wow, didn't realize there was a second one of those. What else you got, dude? Waterworld? Oh man, I'm curious. Like a lot of people's take on Waterworld was like actually a really strong and good movie. I haven't seen Waterworld, but it was like the hype for the movie coming out before it was released was so poor that everybody just thought it was going to be a shitty movie, so nobody went to go and watch it. But it was realistically actually very fantastic. This is the one where the world floods and they all live in the water because there's no land. And, it's probably a nice take given the climate crisis. Go and watch Waterworld. Maybe you'll get your shit together and recycle and stuff. But who knows? Who knows? All right, I'll let it go. No more Kevin Costner the rest of the video. Just our opponent. That's going to be the only Kevin Costnering we'll be doing the rest of the way. Why is he blocking our Rock Bear with the 2/4? Is he really just worried about the damage? Like, I don't care about this Bard whatsoever. It does suck that he can boost all of his units with it, but the elusives here are what matters. And so, the thing I'm at least looking for the rest of the turn is I want to play the Sun Disc, I want to Rite of the Arcane. I thought it was going to be Esmuth, but he seems kind of intent on throwing him away. This would be a recall. Okay. Not awesome. Do we actually have to come in and take down his Bard? I mean, it is kind of scary. He shouldn't have, like, too much card draw left, but we're not going to get too many more opportunities to take him down. Alright. I'll go for it. He's not going to kill us next turn because we have the quicksand. But the flip side of this problem is, like, we are nowhere near actually killing him on our next attack. And so his deck is just, like, way better than ours at this point with all the chimes in it. Vile Feast. It's a start. Don't want this unit hitting combat and getting to grow. Okay. Should be obvious we're up to shenanigans. He knows we have this 5-cost unit in our hand and 5 mana. Why aren't we playing it? It's the shenanigans is why we're not playing it. So do we let this just take the damage from the droplet? I think that's fine. So we'll take down the Esmuths. He should be kind of like far away from actually killing us next turn. And so maybe we'll get something out of it. Oh, he just gives up? Wow, that was preemptive. Okay. Alright. Maybe that was Field of Dreams Part 3. If you build it, they will come. Profound, dude. Profound. That's the way we feel about the channel. You just come out here, you make 500 expedition videos, you build it, people will show up. They'll say, "Fuck, I watched all of the day's content. I need something else to fill out my day. Here's this FTP bust guy playing the expeditions. I guess I'll follow that." We built it, they came. God, I had to pause. I said, "We built it, they came," and then that's the immediate spot where you're supposed to drop it. That's what she said. I started watching through The Office again, and they had one of that classic spot to where Michael says he's not going to say "that's what she said" ever again, and then Jim just starts going through the various phrases that would prompt a "that's what she said," and he holds it so well until the very last one. Missed it. I missed it so much. Here, I don't really want any of these. Just skip it. I just want a champion to turn up. No, none of those were champions. I'm not in that camp that's like seen The Office like completely through a dozen times, but I'm pretty far up there. I think I've made it through in completion maybe like 4 or 5. I know I gave it like a complete watch through, well, like a listen through in graduate school. It's like you're sitting around programming and you have a big project and you have to program for a week or so. It was a pretty good time to just turn it on as background noise. So it's like I've gone through it recently, and then the wife hadn't seen it, so I got her to watch through most of it. I don't think we made it through the entirety of the show. You get into like season 8, and it gets to be kind of a grind, and so I don't think we finished the whole thing, but definitely put in my fair share of time in terms of viewing The Office. Alright, interesting he put the damage onto the Robemaker when we have the Xerath on board. We have a pretty decent opportunity to just come in and kill him now. Oh, we got the big combos. Let's see how this goes. We haven't put together the Hourglass Taliyah combo here. Let's see if we get to copy our Xerath and then copy with Taliyah. It's gonna be cool as shit. Play a Vengeance or something, dude. Play Vengeance on our Xerath. It's like, I want to do it, but it's like if he has the Vengeance and we just try and be too clever here, there's just so much opportunity for failure. But we still have enough mana this way, right? It's a 7 mana play. Yeah, maybe we should have just gone for it. See what happens if we just pass. Alright, he's short on the mana now. This is gonna be sweet as fuck. He unfortunately doesn't have enough units on the board right now, but shit's about to get real. Alright, here we go.
I'm through weeding it. If I stumble, I have the urge to catch me.
It's been real knowing you. I have Depression too.
The wind rolling rocks. Xerath just won't sit still.
Got him. That felt a little bit anticlimactic. I feel like I was expecting a little bit more out of that sweet play, but we did it. We got the victory. All right, the blades coming at us. Where we got? We'll stick to the same plan. We'll hang on to the Xerath. He's kind of weak in this match, but if he's able to like snipe off a sparring student or a Green Glade duo on the turn open, then that could be reasonable enough. Like we don't have a lot of great tools to deal with this deck. And you do run into like lots of problems in terms of like you'll get the rock hoppers and your roiling sands on the board and they're like, LOL, it's a blade dance. And it just soaks up all of your landmarks before you're able to use them. Not a bad start. We'll prevent this damage where we can. So we got a damage prevent with the Bomber Twins, and then now we can just attack with it or trade it or whatever. Much better than just dropping rock hoppers. Alright, Xerath. Hope you're ready to party.
I could learn from watching you.
I will whip the power from the desert.
Every blade, every beat in its place.
Okay. We've only got 1 mana. Not super afraid of what's coming at us. I don't want to put damage onto Xerath because he can just come in and block the Irelia, but we're trying to get rid of our Endless Devout at this point, so it's definitely worth a block. It'll come in and block the sparring student after this.
And punch.
Okay. Let's see what we can do now.
Sun's beneath me and wind's behind me.
Shoulders set, blade sharpened. Let
F.
that lead foot. Don't worry, I've danced this 100 times.
If it's made
Alright,
of
let's
sand,
try that again.
I can ride it. Watch me.
You missed a step.
take the trades wherever we can get them. We drop the Ripper's Bay? Probably not. We can play Taliyah and have her copy the sarcophagus. I just don't think even if we pick up a... even if we picked up the other thing, it's just going to be a little bit too slow. Alright, he's not going to flip this Irelia. So it's like, can we still win the game without a Vengeance this turn? I think we're okay. We have one blocker for the sparring student. Alright.
Point the way, and I'll make the way.
Point the way, and I'll make the way. You got it, Taliyah.
What terrors must we face up here? Whatever they are, we face them together, little Blossom.
Okay. He is going to get the Irelia flip. I didn't consider an additional Blade Dance unit. Kind of is what it is.
A line around me.
So we're going to lose our Xerath.
Remember our ancestors and fight for those who came before us.
Did we just dead? No. Okay.
Out of my way.
If only you were made of rock.
If we have to block everything though, right? If we leave 2 open and he pushes his 9 to the board into the middle, he's going to hit for 13. So we have to block everything. But probably losing our we're going to lose our Xerath this round. He'll swap the Irelia with the Sand Soldier. What? He's just going for the damage punch? Okay. Is this like a lead and follow? Does lead and follow let him get out of this? No Blade Dance? Interesting.
Next time.
So how do we win the game this turn? It has to involve a Vengeance onto Irelia. So that's going to be 6 mana. We can still play a Bomber Twin in this scenario. Like, I don't want to give him just like the opportunities to drop a shitload of units on the board, but like, maybe we just have to lead with the open Vengeance. This lets him play 1 unit or 1 card. So this way, if he plays like, trying to think. I'm not feeling really good about this, but I think this is our only opportunity just to have things go right.
Where they fall, freedom grows.
They've never seen a contraption like this before.
Ooh, the Hexplosive Minefield, very relevant. We unfortunately don't have the mana to play it here, but
Plant that lead foot.
extremely relevant.
Dance this 100 times.
Oh, okay. That's a tough match, though. That was one of the decks that was historically quite good against things like the Sun Disk. And this is a very similar operation that we're running here. Still curious if how it would have played out if we'd tried to Vengeance that Irelia on the previous turn. All right, the final battle is upon us, though. Doing battle against the other landmark deck. Landmarks everywhere. Tan everywhere. Jan everywhere. No, just bring it. It's nonstop today. It's The Office and Kevin Costner. That's all you're getting today.
I am wearing my goggles.
Okay. can lead in with the Rock Hopper, give us a little bit of initiative for the next turn. I don't think we're going to get, you know, good trades out of it, but it's worth seeing what happens.
Watch me.
Just going to bring out this Haunted Tomb. Is that what we're doing? There's a couple of things I'm looking for with this. I'm not playing Bomber Twins this turn. I don't think that that's going to be positive. He's either going to hit us with Ziggs, or he's just going to get a good trade with his 1-drop here. I don't think either of those are two positive outcomes. The thing we would like to do is get like a good Ancient Hourglass copy. But if we play the Haunted Tomb here, we don't have great copies for it. But I think that's just kind of at the spot we're at. We just have to be like, well, I guess this... I guess that this Rock Hopper is going to have to be a good enough unit to make the Tomb happy. Or, of course, we do have the option to just go ahead and blow up the Tomb with the Desert Naturalist. This doesn't seem super appealing.
Are you ready? Let's take it for a spin.
Sun's beneath me and wind's behind me.
Alright, so we're about to get a Rock Hopper back. I think we do need to do this thing to where we copy a unit with our Taliyah and the Hourglass, just so we can get on board. I guess we don't have to do it, right? We can Rock Bear, or we can blow up the Roiling Sands with the Naturalist, just get the units on board and then perhaps pass. Or we can also look to blowing up Ziggs. Where does this get us? This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. We'd be one short of doing all three. Ziggs is starting to be scary. I don't think we have the tools to deal with him right now. We do have Vengeance in hand. We can't just look to Vengeance Ziggs next turn. Okay.
History is whatever.
Sure. Hi, deck. What can you do for us? I mean, that doesn't even really seem that bad. I think I still want to get this Ziggs out of here. But we've definitely had worse things happen to us, right? Sure. Nice. Nice 6 mana for 2 mana trade. That's a lot of Ziggs. Alright, GG. So not a bad collection of games. We did get to showcase the Haunted Tomb a little bit. We did get to use a bit of the cards that haven't seen any action in the current set of Constructed. But Kevin Costner, I find a tough space in getting this Haunted Tomb to work. Right, you run into this spot to where if you play it early, if you play it on turn 3, you're not super likely to have any units that you want to revive. And so you have to really get this odd collection of sequencing as to where, you have a good unit die, and then you can bring it back with the Tomb, but you don't want to play the Tomb until like turn 5 or turn 6, and then you're not going to even get to copy that unit back until later in the game. And if you want to copy this with Taliyah, it's just like this really kind of awkward and odd sequence of trying to get these things to work. I think you really need this in some kind of like combo style deck, to where if you imagine if I guess the kind of like early comparison of things being good would be like that Cursed Keeper, but then more so the Cursed Keeper, the Undying. And then if you're able to, play the Undying on 3, the Haunted Tomb on 4, and then you have some kind of way to kill off the Undying to where the Haunted Tomb brings him back. You have all the copies of it. Like, that's the only kind of like early game centric thing that really comes to mind in terms of making the Haunted Tomb good. It doesn't like strike me as spectacular in like a Callista deck. It doesn't really strike me as spectacular in the Mist Wraiths deck. And so I'm not entirely sure where this is kind of supposed to fit in. But we tried here today. It does feel like a little unfortunate in that we're so like Shadow Isles heavy here. But I think that's kind of the other piece to where you could potentially find something in the future, is if there's an additional good landmark kind of card, and then just branching out away from playing Shurima plus, having access to a different faction. And like a lot of the real weakness in playing Shurima plus Ziggs is that your interactivity is pretty balls, right? You have a lot of vulnerable style cards, but outside of that, you're really kind of limited to Rite of the Arcane and to Quicksand. And so as time progresses and more landmarks are printed, we might have the opportunity to kind of branch away from Ziggs. But as things stand, I doubt that a deck like this is really better than Taliyah Ziggs. The addition of like Vile Feast, Vengeance, and Haunted Tomb doesn't really feel like enough. And so I'm not quite sure how we get the Haunted Tomb to work. I feel like it's probably just a fairly weak card. If no one has figured it out by this point, there's probably a decent reason why. But hey, I mean, people just kind of figured out Action Renekton within the past week. They just kind of figured out Inspired Light plus Zap Sprayfin maybe 2 weeks ago, and that was 5 and 6 weeks into the format. And so maybe there is something with Haunted Tomb. Maybe we've just missed it. Maybe it hasn't been printed yet. But as the current state of the game is, I'm not ultra impressed with what's going on here. But it's worth a shot, right? We used to take our shots in Expedition when you were forced to play with this stuff. You just had to kind of figure out how to make the best of it. If we had the Haunted Tomb paired with like the Harrowing, then we were just going to take it because the Harrowing was that good. But those were the kind of opportunities that you would come together and getting to like try these epic cards. And otherwise, if you're not just playing the epic cards because you have to find a way to kind of bring them out and give it a shot and see how it feels. Put the tip in and stuff. And feel like we put the tip into the Haunted Tomb today. Wasn't what we were expecting. We probably pulled out pretty fast, but we gave it a shot. We saw what it felt like, and it wasn't that bad. And so that is going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope your tomb was a little less haunted after the primer we gave you. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.